Does Hercule have Ultra Instinct? Can I go Ultra Instinct as Hercule? Oh! Stop! Ultra Instinct Hercule? Hey, what's up everyone? Today I'm going to be showing you some of the most important defensive techniques you need to master in Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. But before we get into the video, I'm going to need you guys to hit that subscribe button, as there are too many people who watch these videos who are not actually subscribed. But with that being out of the way, let's get into the video. One of the most important techniques you need to master in Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is honestly high-speed evasion. A lot of the defensive moves and counters heavily rely on this. So knowing when to use and how to use will actually make a huge difference in dodging your opponent's attacks and increasing your chances of winning your overall matches. Now, me personally, I know a lot of people don't like going into the training mode, but I did find out that going into the super training mode with Piccolo is actually extremely helpful, especially when it comes down to timing your dodges. Truthfully, it's all about figuring out the exact moment to use high-speed evasion, and trust me, once you do it, it becomes a game changer. There are a few things you want to focus on when it comes to high-speed evasion, which is learning what attacks you're able to dodge in the first place. These dodges can include Z counters, normals, and smash attacks. Now, Z counters are a bit more tricky to dodge, but once you get it, they'll make you a nuisance on the battlefield. If you ever played any other fighting games in the past, such as Dragon Ball FighterZ, then you understand that timing is key when it comes in terms of inputs. Now, do this for a few minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, or even 30 minutes to understand the timing. Keep in mind that not every character in this game has the exact same timing, as every character has their different speeds in which they attack you. So, you're going to have to learn how to adjust your timing accordingly. One of the best suggestions that I can give you is to do this 10 times in a row without activating your guard. If you notice that your guard activates, that's how you know you failed and you have to start over from zero. Try to get it 10 times in a row. Once you do it, it becomes easier once you're in game. The next defensive tip I would like to teach you is super counter. Now, this one is pretty difficult to do, but if you want to become a master, this is how it's done. In order to perform the super counter defensive technique, you have to input it instantly as soon as the attack is landing on you or in the middle of the attack, depending on the character you're up against. Like I said earlier, every character has a different speed, so keep that in mind. So considering the fact that every character has a different speed, this means that you cannot mash it and expect it to work. I have played several matches online with both my friends and casuals, and there are some matches where neither of us input the super counter correctly. Of course, this is mainly because it's early on and a lot of us are still new to the game, so we don't really understand all the mechanics that there is to the game, but that's why you're watching this video, because you want to become a defensive master. But seriously, this is why it's important to practice these defensive techniques, especially early on in the game. This helps you separate yourselves from people who are Cybermen to people who are Ultra Instinct level, you know? This is what helps you create that skill gap between you and your fellow competitors. If you like to test against other characters in the game, you can go to the training mode, and under training settings, you can select your opponent's settings, and from there you can change the strategy to a rush attack. As you can see from the tooltip, it says it is super useful for practicing against super counters and guards. And just like any other defensive tip you may come across, remember this is not something that you will master in 5 minutes. It will take a lot of time and dedication, so make sure you put in the time, you put in the effort, especially if you want to become one of the best players to ever play this game, or be able to beat your brother, your older brother, your little sister, whoever it may be. Remember, the goal here is to become a defensive master overall. You know, we want to become the UI Goku. Now, another defensive technique that I like to mention are Z counters. Now, Z counters are not as difficult to do as super counters, but it is important to know the key difference between them. As described in Super Training, in order to perform a Z counter, you must press the button just before a follow-up attack lands. Now, this may look like a Vanish, but the key word here is follow up. This is when the enemy knocks you away and then they spawn behind you, and as they're about to attack you, aka a follow-up attack, this is when you're able to perform your Z counter. The key difference between a Z counter and a regular Vanish is that you can vanish a lot of the normals in the game by using your block button, as long as, of course, you time it correctly. Now, there's something to note here. If you're doing a Z counter against a follow-up attack, you can also get yourself counter. So if you do a Z counter, you can do a super counter, and so on and so on. And you can kind of have like a mixture of both happening over and over and over again. But I want you to know that as long as you do and your opponent does it back too, so let's say your opponent does Z counter, super counter, and then you Z counter and he super counters, or you super counter and he Z counters, I want you to know that the first person to fail that, they would take a lot more damage than if they would have failed earlier on in the Z counter, super counter combination, okay? Again, the best way to train this is by going to your training mode settings and selecting your opponent's settings, and from there changing the strategy to smash attacks and follow-ups 1. So of course, just like any other defensive technique, make sure you practice this and try to get it down to the muscle memory. The more you practice it, the easier it will become once you're in a real match. Now keep in mind, I only mentioned a few defensive techniques, but if you want to become a true absolute ultra master, make sure you go to the training mode settings and just try out everything. Go to the super training battle settings and just try them out, practice yourself, and then you too can become, who knows, Ultra Instinct Hercule question mark. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you guys hit the subscribe button. Like I said earlier in the video, there's a lot of you guys that watch these videos that are not actually subscribed to the channel. So if you guys can, please subscribe to the channel. Or if you want to catch me live, you can always come check me out on twitch.tv/whatdanieldo. Thank you everybody for being here once again, and I'll see you guys in the next Sparking Zero video. Adios.